What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a very special day. The day that we reach 15K, the day that we react to The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway by Genesis. Let me get all the information up. See, it's a special day. I don't even have the stuff up yet. This is their 6th studio album released in 1974. Guys, it is literally thanks to you that we have reached, our 15K subscriber goal. We've had this on the board for quite a long time, and I think it is about time now that we cross it off the board. But that's a very crooked line. That is horrible. If it's your first time here, we are going to be listening to and reacting to The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. We're going to do side 1 today, and then the next 3 sides over the next 3 days. We've had that, like I said before, on the board for a while. That's a thin line. That's a thin line. Hold on, let me make that a little thicker. That's a little better. I'm excited to listen to The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway because, as if it isn't obvious, I'm pretty much a Genesis fan at this point. And at this point, we're almost finished with Duke. So one thing that I'm excited to hear is the boys are back in town. The band is back. Like, I get to hear Hackett. I get to hear Peter. I haven't heard them in a while. I really enjoy what Genesis has done, sans Steve and sans Peter. But it's just nice to hear like the main group all back together. So this is going to be really cool. Also, just so you know, I'm probably going to talk a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll leave a time signature or a timestamp. My mind's already ready to listen to music. I'll leave a timestamp of when the song is going to begin and then where the analysis starts or my reaction starts afterwards. Just so that if you don't want to sit through all this talking, you don't have to. You know, I got your back. I got your back. But if you are going to sit through all this, grab a coffee, grab a tea, grab whatever you need to keep you going because it's going to be a long one today. I already know it. So first things first, I put a poll out a while ago asking you guys if I should look at the story of the album first or if I should just go in completely blind. Now, the poll was actually pretty neck and neck. And in my own opinion, I was just going to go in completely blind and not like read anything. And I haven't. Literally on the side of genius.com where I read the lyrics from, all I see here is The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway is a concept album about a punky Puerto Rican kid living in NYC named Rael. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce his name. That is literally all I know of the story. I'm not going to go into it any further. I'm going to let myself be pretty much all the way blind, but at least I have an idea of maybe what the concept is supposed to be. My interpretations and whatever I come up with will purely be my own and whatever I gather from the lyrics and the story itself. I mentioned it on my P.O. Box unboxing video I did a little while ago, but someone in the community, Dave, had sent me this vinyl of the album, which was incredible. And if you guys can see, I haven't even opened it yet. I've saved it for this exact moment. It is so cool. And I know that you guys know, but you know, this is just from my different generational perspective. It is so cool to have the vinyl in your hands and to have the artwork in your hands. You guys have taught me about that, you know, and I've really taken that to heart and I've really enjoyed that. But just being able to look at the vinyl and the pictures and the artwork and what was meant creatively from the artist and the band. Okay, so opening it, this is my first time seeing it as well. We got a lot of text. I'm assuming that these are the lyrics, either in the song or this is just the story written out. Amongst the text, you have a lot of images of different things. So this is a really, really arty album that they have going on. You know, and especially now myself being able to hold this and see all this, they put a lot of work into this. It seems kind of like Stanley Kubrick. This feels like Kubrick-esque. I don't even know if that's a word. You have some more artwork, which I'm sure all of you guys have already seen, but for myself, this is just really cool. Seriously, thank you so much for sending this. This was a beautiful gift, guys. You know what? Let's actually get rid of that. Let me put that down there, and then I'm going to replace that with this. I think that'll show up decently on camera, right? If I open it, yeah, that should be okay. That should be just fine. I don't even know if now I need to put the album cover here on the screen, if it's right there. And then the last thing I just want to say is just another really, really big thank you. I started this channel because I just wanted to listen to more music, and you guys have been invaluable in assisting me and educating me and just being a part of the journey with me on listening to more music. So it's just the education and the knowledge that you guys have shared with me, the experiences that you had with the music that you've listened to, that I'm listening to here. It's incredibly endearing. It's so beautifully connected how music can bring us all together. I think that is a beautiful thing. And I just want to thank you for watching the videos, for subscribing and getting us to this goal. For everyone that's supported the channel on Patreon. You guys are doing a huge service, a very, very big service in helping the channel grow, helping myself grow, helping me accomplish personal goals and personal dreams. To be honest, music has always been something I've wanted to do something with. So you guys are really helping me to make that into something that's very, very crucial in my life. So I don't have a ton more to say. As you can see, my wife and I, we put up some some nice wallpaper here with some sheep that are dreaming. I have my Gordon Ramsay Hell's Kitchen shirt. Where is the lamb sauce? There's always lamb sauce. It's just never where you want it. But besides that's all I have to say before we jump into the album. I thank you guys for being here with me, and I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that you enjoy your time here. And if this is your first time, like I said, say hi. Introduce yourself. Love having you here. And don't make it your last time. Now, for the moment we've all been waiting for, you can join me on Twitter in the comments down below. Support the channel on Patreon if you'd like to. Let's jump into it. This is The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, Side 1 by Genesis. I'm excited. I'm really excited. All of that was Side 1. So let me get my initial thoughts out of the way before I dive into this, because like I said, this is the part where you guys are going to want your coffee and your tea. So first of all, in me trying to follow the journey and what's going on, obviously I have no exact idea. I'm gonna have to sit down and really read it. But I kind of have two ideas going on in my head with what I've been given and what I've read. One, it's Rael's journey through hell. He died. And this is his journey, almost like a Dante's Inferno kind of journey. He's going down through hell and he's seeing different things, different places, and he's experiencing different, aspects of the underworld. Or, and this is almost like what I'm more leaning towards, if you guys are familiar with the movie Pan's Labyrinth. I've mentioned it before, it's my favorite movie, period. It's a really nice combination of the real world and fantasy. But this girl, Ophelia, she's almost trying to escape the hardships of real life through her imagination and through fairy tales. Whether her imagination and those fairy tales are real or not is to be discussed and is to be decided by the end of the film. But I'm kind of getting something like that perhaps in the story here. He's going through these supernatural occurrences, but they're based off of things that he's experiencing in real life. Maybe. I'm not sure. I really have no idea. But can I say, once again, how good it is to have all the boys back in town. Like I mentioned, at this moment that I'm recording this, I'm almost done with Duke. But how nice is it to hear Hackett? I'm going to talk about everybody, but how enjoyable right now for myself to hear Hackett. Because he's killing it throughout this thing. They all are. But it's just like a breath of a different kind of air, a different kind of fresh air. It's like enjoying the sea breeze and enjoying the fresh air of the mountains. Both are enjoyable, but I've just missed the mountains. And what a mountain Hackett is throughout these pieces. Another thing is that listening to this whole thing, this almost sounds like a more developed Supper's Ready to an extent. I believe it runs about the same runtime. And it's just really cool to hear them develop an epic like Supper's Ready again. And I haven't even gotten through the whole album. I've just listened to the first side of it. So that's really cool how they've been able to embody themselves into another side-long epic like this. Also, another cool thing is that at certain parts, for example, in The Cage, I don't know if this is, the intention or not, but when he's talking about being strapped in and trying to help, his brother and all that stuff, it looks like that was these first two scenes here. Maybe. I'm still working on it. I'm still working on some of these things. Pulling it back to the opening track, the title track, I think that this perfectly sets the concepts and the themes for what's to be explored further on in at least this side, and I would imagine the rest of the album as well. I like the opening twinkles of Tony Banks on the piano. Tony sounds really good in a lot of this. I'm going to talk about him in a few moments, but now this is really cool, and they bring this motif back through several times in the song itself too. This is an explosive opening. It sounds kind of like a Broadway show. It sounds like a stage show. So immediately they're opening the curtains, and this would sound so perfectly as the characters are laid out on stage and the plot begins. Oh, and by the way, I may not have mentioned, but Rutherford, he's killing it on bass throughout all of these songs. This is just one of them where he really is, but listen to that fuzz on the bass as well. Bass line and dreaminess atmosphere here, and which we'll get more of later on as well. Peter's rough cadence sounds so nice in comparison and in contrast with those bright lights of the piano. Hackett, that beautifully sung guitar, crying out alongside with Peter here. This is gorgeous. This is a very rich atmosphere, very subdued. That's nice. And then we get into some interesting voice effects, which we get more of later on as well. It's really the perfect song to set the scene and really get you into the story and the music, which is going to follow. Let's talk about the lyrics on this one before we jump into more. And the lamb lies down on Broadway. Early morning Manhattan, ocean winds blow on the land. The movie palace is now undone. The all-night watchmen have had their fun. Sleeping cheaply on the midnight show. It's the same old ending. Time to go. Get out, get out. So you could probably imagine Rail was, watching a late night movie or whatever at the theater. And, him and I'm sure a bunch of other people go there and they fell asleep. And now the people are like kicking them out of the theater. Nighttime's flyers feel their pain. Drugstores take down the chains. Metal motion comes in bursts, but the gas station can quench that thirst. So the day is beginning. The gas stations are opening. The drugstores are taking down the chains. They're opening the doors. You can hear the way a city wakes up. It's different than the way, anyone living in the countryside will wake up. And out of the subway, Rail Imperial Aerosol Kid exits into daylight, spray gun hid, and the lamb lies down on Broadway. So, spray can or spray gun hid. I guess he was just doing some graffiti down in the subway. And he is out. He is the lamb on Broadway. I would assume he's the one that's lamb. So he seems maybe a little bit out of place where he is. Then we get another character, Suzanne. Suzanne, tired, her work all done, thinks money honey beyond neon. Cabman's velvet glove sounds the horn, and the sawdust king spits out his scorn. Wonder Women, you can draw your blind. Don't look at me, I'm not your kind, I'm Rail. Something inside me has just begun, Lord knows what have I done. Interesting. So was Suzanne, is she like an actress, or is she someone that is like related in some capacity to Broadway? But it's at that point afterwards he says, something inside me has just begun. Lord knows what have I done. Well, what has he done? I haven't seen really anything besides maybe a little bit of graffiti. And then the outro, they say the lights are always bright on Broadway. They say there's always magic in the air. So that magic in the air, we're about to find out exactly what it's doing. So hear me out. On first listen, Fly on the Windshield is my favorite track on side A. I love it. You guys know I like openness, I like ambience, I like mysticality. I don't even know if that's a word. But this track has everything that I really enjoy. In general, yes, but also from Genesis. First of all, you got that really ethereal opening. How can you not like that? Is that Mellotron? I don't know, but it's beautiful. Ooh, hear that? Hear that little lead in the back? Along with Hackett's very soft guitar playing. Something solid and then Peter pops out. And this track is a lot different from the previous, which I think I also really enjoy, just the contrast of it. And while the song has a really calm atmosphere, it's little off notes like that kind of change and make you think that maybe something is lurking beneath. Something a little suspect. Especially when compared or aligned with Peter singing. There's a certain kind of tension that's built here. And that isolation is bliss. And that Hey. Let's do it again. The effects. Not only does it erupt, but it erupts into a beautiful volcanic eruption. That is seismic. That's huge. Like I said, not only is it just a loud bang after the mesmerizing piece we had before, but as it gets into this, it jams out. I want to talk about that second section in a second, but one thing I really like about that is the lyrics at that point. When he says, I'm hovering like a fly waiting for the windshield on the freeway. Now, before that, Before that, let's get lyrical for a second. He says something solid forming in the air and the wall of death is lowered in Times Square. No one seems to care. No one seems to notice. But Rail. They carry on as if nothing was there. The wind is blowing harder now, blowing dust in my eyes. The dust settles on my skin, making a crust I cannot move. So we see the change right away. Totally different tonally from the piece before, and now the change is actually happening. In the title track, we got hints of what was to come, the foreboding. Now we actually get that change. And that second part really represents that major change, as it does musically. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but there is a really, really old show. It wasn't the best 3D animation, but it was a show called Reboot. Okay, very, very briefly, the the plot of Reboot was they were characters that were living inside of a computer, and when the user, would want to play a game, a big black square would come down, a big black cube, and they would have to go into the cube, into that square, and play against the user, play against the player. And if they lost the game, that area of the city would be destroyed. If they won, then the cube would go away and everything was back as normal. When he talks about this wall of death being lowered in Times Square, you kind of get something like that. There's an uneasy feeling in the air, in the atmosphere. Everything begins to change around Rail, but he's the only one that seems to notice it. And before we know it, or before he knows it, he can't move, there's dust in his eyes. He's stuck and he's waiting for something. And like he says, he feels trapped and he feels like he's hovering like a fly, waiting for the windshield on a highway or on a freeway, which eventually it does find him. But what a huge shift it is. I mean, let me play it one more time. And the change in his voice. You hear Hackett right here? Everybody but Hackett, listen to it. And those beautiful orchestral keys by Banks, symphonic, guys. This is the song that I would want to see Hackett play live when I see him next year. And I like how Phil adds in those extra kicks. It really just adds a lot of power. Really, really nice chords there as well. Really reining in that supernatural feeling. And even Peter's very, very, like, lonesome delivery here sounds very, like, otherworldly. He sounds like someone that's just been thrust into this totally new world, and it's just describing his sights and what he's seeing and what he's feeling. And there's this overwhelming cryptic feeling about the music at this point. We know that we're on some sort of weird journey, like just us. We don't know if this is a good journey or not, but it's a strange place that we've never been before, and we don't quite know how we feel yet. And yet afterwards, out of that mysterious nature, we come into places like this, which are just like very softly padded, kind of beautiful. I feel like we're basically like on the astral plane. Like, I feel like we, in lieu of Rail, are just like astral projecting and we're going on some sort of journey through, I don't know, transcendental places. Cuckoo Cocoon, I think, is also really, really cool. Cuckoo Cocoon, before I even get any further into it, I think that this one's really cool because, okay, a cocoon, right? What does a cocoon represent? A cocoon really represents change, but a big change, right? We already had a shift in the beginning of the journey on Fly on the Windshield, but now we're getting something slightly different. Whereas that was a big and cataclysmic kind of change, this one is a lot more peaceful. This one also feels more comforting in its nature. So when I think of a cocoon, yes, we're changing, but we're probably changing into something more beautiful, which the melody really, really shows. But also, when you're in a cocoon, you're stuck. You're not moving anywhere, you're just stuck. And even the music, when you listen to it, it's not like moving anywhere. It's kind of okay being settled in the melody that it is. And yet there is a change happening. So the Fly on the Windshield was a change perhaps of death. This is a change of rebirth. Oh, and I forgot to mention in the last song, Broadway Melody of 1974, looking at the lyrics, we're getting a lot of references to, I'm imagining real people, I'm imagining actors. I mean, you got Groucho, so yeah, we're getting actors. I'm imagining stage actors of like a Broadway. So this is kind of where I got that Dante's Inferno idea, because in Dante's Inferno, Dante encounters a lot of historical figures on the different circles of hell. So I was thinking maybe this is like a Dante Inferno-esque way of encountering these figures on the different circles of Broadway. Now, we know he's fantasizing in this particular part because he talks about the Ku Klux Klan serve hot soul food. And the band plays In the Mood. A cheerleader waves her cyanide wand. There's a smell of peach blossom and bitter almond. Carol Chessman sniffs the air and leads the parade. He knows, in a scent, you can bottle all you made. So there's definitely some fantasy going on right now. He's basically like Alice in Wonderland, but he's Rail on Broadway. I love the way he says that. Reminds me of the Beatles, which actually I want to talk about later on. And this particular section, especially enhanced by the atmospheres of the guitar and Peter's flute playing, reminds me of Supper's Ready in the beginning. Right? Like, don't you hear little Supper's Ready? So this track really feels like a interlude, waiting for something, for the next song, Cage. Right? Now, let's talk about In the Cage. So before, we were in a cocoon, a place where you cannot move and where you're expected to get out of. Somehow that cocoon changed into a cage. Still a place where you're stuck, but you're not meant to get out of. So the cocoon, which may embody and symbolize growth and change and rebirth, now turns into a cage, a metaphor and an object of imprisonment and no movement.
Genesis be pretty smart.
You have to like that quiet pulsing from Rutherford with subdued singing by Peter. We know there's something coming. We know there's something coming. You hear all those sounds in the back? Is that a lawnmower? Is this I Know What You Like? Or I Know What I Like? Now, before it gets further into the song, I do want to make mention of those first lines. I got sunshine in my stomach like I just rocked my baby to sleep. I got sunshine in my stomach, but I can't keep me from creeping sleep. Sleep deep in the deep. So before, when he was in the cocoon, I'm imagining he's basically in a happy place, right? He feels warmth, and he even reflects on that in the first few lines. He has sunshine in his stomach like he's rocking his baby to sleep. He's feeling pretty good. He feels warmth inside. Now, it's about to change as it gets further into the song and the lyrics, but at least for a moment, he feels warmth and he feels comfort within himself, within this cocoon. But as we just explained a little while ago, soon that cocoon is going to change into a cage. And the music and the atmosphere and Peter's tone in embodying Rail is totally going to shift as well. Now, this isn't as quick a shift as Fly on a Windshield. This builds up a little more subtlety, which I think is really cool. Because I imagine him in the cocoon slowly waking up and realizing he's not in a cocoon. He's not in a safe place. He's actually in a pretty bad place. This is definitely the most perfectly progressed song. If you had to choose one song out of side A, this one progresses so nicely, especially in the way that it builds suspense, intensity, and eventually into a climax that just feels very claustrophobic, very alarming, very distressing. Tony Banks performing kind of like an alarming circus-like atmosphere, which really nicely carries on to the next song as well. Peter Gabriel singing sounds like he knows he's unsafe. He knows he has to get out, as he says right there. And it sounds like he's crying out to escape while the music around him is just like,
Hey, we're having a great time.
it's like really, really horror-based, right? Like, imagine the band as characters in this part, right? Peter is in the cage, and he's crying to get out of the cage. And the rest of the band, they're just around playing their instruments, almost like a Five Nights at Freddy's kind of horror cartoon. And they're just like, scary, happy face. Like, they're just playing for this guy in a cage, like, you're never leaving. Woo. And that shift, guys, you hear what Phil just did? He just flipped it. And now he gets really intense. Just that change in the tempo, just that change in the way that Phil, does his drumming, just changes everything. Listen to this riff by Hackett. Listen. There it goes. And the bass. You hear the bass. Out of that, Tony. If Hackett had his moment on Windshield, this is Tony's moment. Hold on, pull it up. There. This has to be one of Tony's hardest solos. Like, hard. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about technique and all that stuff. I'm sure it is, but I'm not talking about that. I mean, like, it's a hard solo. This sounds like something that Dream Theater would be inspired by. If you listen to, like, Jordan Rudess and how he plays, I feel like he would be inspired by something like this. Like, this is... it's hard. That's the word I keep coming back to. And how Phil led him into that. You hear Mike on the bass? He softens it up again. Okay. That part is so smooth, guys. Now, there's a really particular reason why I love that, and it's because it reminds me of old video game soundtracks, in particular the soundtrack to Streets of Rage 2, let's just say, which is probably one of my favorite video game soundtracks ever, bar none. Go listen to some of it and tell me that it doesn't. Let's pull up a little bit. Hey, why not? Come on, you hear it? It's a jam. But yeah, I love Tony Banks' solo right there. And hear how he builds pressure with playing? Leave you with the sustained note of the bass. And that stays. That stays. And then Phil and Hackett take over. The band are so aligned in these tracks. They are grooving off each other. I had to read a little bit more about the recording process on this because they sound like... This builds up into something so devastational, so destructive. Kind of reminds me of the knife off of Trespass, just heavier. And then as it fades out, we get something totally different. Something very whimsical, very playful. I imagine this is Tony. And it's very, like, foggy. It's very muddled. I like that. I like that change in the production. Because this really draws you in as it leads into the next song and the last song on this side of the album. The Grand Parade of Lifeless, was it persons? Packages? So before we move on to that, let's talk about In the Cage real quick. We talked about the first lyrics, but... So later on he's talking about, like, if I keep self-control, I'll be safe in soul. And the childhood belief brings a moment's relief. But my cynic soon returns and the lifeboat burns, my spirit just never learns. So it's almost like in this cage, if he just keeps calm, he'll be okay. He'll save his soul in a sense. If he just stays like with a childlike kind of innocence or a childlike belief, he'll be okay. But it says his cynic soon returns and the lifeboat burns. So it's interesting how he's talking about these different vehicles, these different places he's in. A cage, a lifeboat. It's changing constantly. And perhaps it all depends on him and what he's currently thinking about. Then he talks about being in a cave, being shut in, his lips are dry, his throat is dry, he feels like he's burning, he's dressed in a white costume, padding out some leftover room like he's in kind of like an asylum. And then he also sees other people in cages, and their cages are joined to form a star. There is some really hallucinatory imagery going on, and personally, I think it's really cool because you can draw so many different opinions on what the story is exactly about. Each person can't go very far, all tied to their things. They are netted by strings, free to flutter in the memories of their wasted wings. So once again, to me, getting something very Dante-esque. They are free to flutter in memories of their wasted wings. So these people that could once fly, they can try to fly, but their wings were wasted. Perhaps their opportunities in life were wasted. So this is their punishment in the circle. I don't know, I'm getting a lot of Dante vibes from this. And then he also mentions that he sees his brother, John, and he's crying for help. He's crying to John to help him, and John turns to him very slowly, very creepy. He says he lets out a silent tear of blood, and then he turns away again and leaves the cage. So I wonder what John's place in the story is exactly. Interesting. If this is Dante-esque, and he is in hell, did John die at some point? And this is his way of trying to reach out to John on his own personal journey. And then he talks about him being in the straitjacket and the pressure's building, he can't take anymore. And then at the end, which I really think is cool, he feels his body revolve without a reason. Keep turning around, just spinning around. So kind of like getting on a carousel, right? Which perfectly kind of lines up a little bit with the next song, The Grand Parade of Lifeless Packaging. So you can imagine him out of his cage and he's being forced to revolve. He can't move, he's just being forced to turn. Now, as we do get into the next song, we actually get more of an idea of like an assembly line of people. There's a whole bunch of different people, and it looks like they're being put together in different ways. And the song, once again, has a very eerie and yet playful sound to it. It immediately gives you the idea of being in like a toy factory. At least for me. Right? Like, once again, it's a very playful, fun, joyous kind of vibe. You got toy train sounds. The piano's kind of fun. And yet Peter, his vocals are very, very distorted. This one sounds like it's being in a toy factory. And yet Peter's delivery really brings the spooky vibe to it as well, as knowing the story. Now, with this song in particular, I heard this one, and in the back of my mind, I was thinking, this kind of sounds like something the Beatles would do. And at this point, my experience with the Beatles is still very limited, so, you know, don't take it from me. But from the little bit I know of them, this sounds like something the Beatles would do. That childlike sound, that wondrous tone, with a hint of something going wrong. And there's a bunch of fun sound effects going on around this as well, but it's really those vocal performances that bring it down to a darker tone. And eventually, especially with the help of Tony and Phil, it brings it up to this really evil sounding climax. Still a little bit of a fun little warble in there, like a didgeridoo kind of sound. But I mean, it's really dramatic and it's really strange. Now in this song, talking about the lyrics, the first line to me tells a lot. It says, "It's the last great adventure left to mankind," screams a drooping lady. This lady is saying that this is the last great adventure left to mankind. What would that be? To me, that represents the afterlife, that represents death. That is the last great adventure. And Rails says that he's taken to the factory floor for the grand parade of lifeless packaging, all ready to use. All they need is a fuse. So it's like empty bodies with no soul. That's the fuse, I'm imagining. Got people stocked in every shade, they must be doing well with the trade. Stamped, addressed in odd fatality, like they died, right? Odd fatality, in strange ways, that evens out their personality. With profit potential marked by a sign, I can recognize some in the production line. No bite at all in labor bondage, just wrinkled wrappers on human bandage. Once again says that he sees his brother. Dishing out fail-safe superlatives, Brother John is number 9. So I'm imagining that this is really like a trip through death, through the afterlife. At least that's what I'm really getting out of it. And now that he's died, he's another lifeless body on this assembly line, waiting to perhaps either be reborn, because it says all they need is a fuse. So he just needs that fuse, that soul, that spirit to rebirth him back to life. Am I close? I'm just taking a look at this to see if there's anything that I should know. Okay, so reading a little bit of the actual record sleeve, it does seem like it's basically a nice overview and narrative of what's taking place in the story itself. Like, you're getting the lyrics. Yeah, I got the lyrics. But this is like seems like a nice synopsis or plot summary of kind of what's going on in the story. The cat wants to come in. Come on in, Sake.
Come on, Sake.
Oh, the cat really wanted to come in. And then I was just sitting here reading a little bit about the actual recording process for the album. And it looked like, according to Wikipedia at least, that Banks felt that Genesis had gained a strong enough following by this point so they could do 2 albums worth of music. And it seems that Gabriel was the one that presented the story that would eventually become The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. And it looks like the band had a really hard time recording the album, and there was a lot of friction between the members at the time, and Gabriel was spending a lot of time, it seems, away from recording, especially as his first wife Jill was going through a very difficult birth. So there was just a lot of difficult things going on around the lives of each of the members at this time, which apparently looks like this eventually led to Peter Gabriel's departure, which we know he did leave, but these are kind of the events that look like it led to him eventually leaving. And the songwriting of the album was different than the previous ones, where it says that Gabriel really took charge of most of the lyrics in here, whereas before, all the other members were involved in some capacity. So while the process may have been a bit daunting, at least to me, the music, it's really good. This was just side 1. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you stuck around this long to this point, I don't know how long this video is, but I imagine it's
a doozy.
I talked a bit on this one. I hope that you enjoyed the video, guys. I sincerely hope you did. If it's your first time here, as I mentioned at the outset, please don't make it your last. I hope that you enjoy some of the other videos that are going on. And even if you hated this video, even if you didn't enjoy your time here, I hope that at least you have a good day. I hope that it wasn't all bad. I hope that you enjoyed at least the music side of it. If not me, if not the video, if not anything, I hope that you enjoyed the music. Of course, as always, you guys are more than welcome to join me on Twitter in the comments down below. You can support the channel on Patreon. Thank you once again for the subscriber goals, which is down here. I looked over there, it's not there. But thank you once again for helping me and the channel to reach those subscriber goals, and for everything else that you guys have done here on the channel. It's really been a huge blessing to me personally and to my wife as well. So thank you guys so much. Stick around for tomorrow. We'll be doing the next side, and then the day after, the next side, and then the day after, the next side. But for now, I hope that you enjoyed the video. Hope that you had a great day. Hope that your cup of tea, your cup of coffee, whatever you're drinking right now is finished. And hope you're ready to get another one for tomorrow. I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Have a great night, guys. Bye.